back, everyone, to another episode of the Unraveled and Rising podcast. If this is your first time, welcome. We're so happy you're here. If you've been back before or have listened to other episodes or watched other episodes, thanks for coming back. We appreciate you. We're going to have a great podcast today with somebody that I truly admire and all of us truly admire. So if you hear something today that you think either you or someone else would, benefit from, please share it. Please like and subscribe and share it. We would love that. Obviously, it helps the algorithm, but really our ultimate goal is that it helps you all and we provide some service to you. And I know all four of us on this episode really believe that and truly feel it in our hearts. Today, we have somebody we love so dearly. Dr. Ed Wheeler is a mindset mastery coach and the creator of the Total Mind Power System, helping professionals around the world transform from the inside out. After nearly losing his marriage due to stress, reactivity, and personal misalignment, Edward turned inward and rebuilt himself and ultimately rebuilt his relationship. Now approaching 44 years of marriage, yay! With 3 children and 5 grandchildren, he teaches others how to shift from reaction to responsibility and create lasting personal transformation. Dr. Ed, thanks so much for being here.
Well, thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I'm grateful to be here for sure.
Absolutely. We'll talk about his system too at the end of this, so stay tuned for that. But before we do that, he's going to share something today that all 3 of us have been privy to as being coached by him in the past. And a couple of us are still on a mastermind with him every Wednesday, and we talk about this concept a lot. But before we get there, Dr. Ed, you teach this thing called the stick person. And I think it's so... when you have a visual around that stick person, it really makes a difference in how I think about it and how we're able to visualize it myself. So can you really explain what it is and how it helps people understand kind of their emotional reactions to things?
Well, absolutely. And, we talk about, can we change our mind? Right? We've heard if you can change your mind, you can change your results. You change your mind, change your life. But we may not have a proper awareness of what the mind actually is, because the mind is not the brain. It's separate from the brain. It's actually a function. So I use the stick person concept, and if you want to put that up, I'll talk about it for a minute. But it's when you understand this concept, you may understand, well, you likely understand why you might feel stuck, or why you continue to get the same results over and over and over again. Now, stick person, you can see the stick person there. Hopefully you can see yourself in this picture. But as a part of the diagrammatic representation of the mind, we have the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, and the body. And they do 3 different things. They respond in 3 different ways. And very simply, your conscious mind is where we are able to choose our goals and desires. We can set intentions. We can decide how we want things to be. We can think, right? And we were talking about it on the mastermind this morning. I have a specific idea around what it means to think. And a part of your consciousness is you can accept or reject an idea. But someone can tell you that you can tell someone about your goal, and they can tell you they don't believe you can do it. Right? Well, you're not. You don't have to believe them. Consciously, you can reject that idea. But what happens to us is unconsciously, we may accept that idea. We may accept their opinion because that's a patterned response. But just know that you have a choice. And if you leave here hopefully you leave here with more than this, but if you leave here with no other idea that you have a choice of what you're going to think about, you have a choice of what you're going to believe. Now, your subconscious mind is, and if you notice the stick person, it's a bigger part of the pie here. The subconscious is where our programming is. It's our conditioning that life puts upon us, and it's because of the emotions that we experience. I know you guys talk a lot about trauma on this podcast and how to deal with trauma, but that's where trauma is stored, and it impacts how we function.
I want to just remind our audience really quick that if you haven't watched the episode from last week, Michelle is so right. This is just a perfect addition into exactly what Dr. Ed is talking about, because we did talk about that, and he's getting ready to go into that. So I will tell you to go back, and you would benefit from watching that one as well, and then going into his work here.
Yeah, absolutely. We just want you to remember, and we're going to keep this as simple. So I'm not trying to make you mind physiologists here today. I'm just going to give you some simple things to remember. Conscious is you can choose your thoughts with your conscious thought. You can choose to think whatever you want to think, but your beliefs are ultimately housed in the programming of your subconscious mind.
Right.
And the identity of who you believe you are is in your subconscious mind. And the pathway to changing what you believe about yourself is through your thinking.
Dr. Ed, and just as you're going through this, last week we talked about how when it is related to trauma, there are things in our childhood that we went through that we may have experienced that contributed to some of the programs or some of the patterns that we believe, the beliefs that we believe that we didn't realize that we were accepting at a young age.
Absolutely. Now, you're in your subconscious mind, your subconscious has to accept whatever you feed it. Right? It can't tell the difference between what's real and what's imagined. So when we're talking about goal setting and the relationship you want to have, or the body that you want to have, or the result you want to create, the way to change the programming in your subconscious is through repetition. It's through imagination. It's through allowing yourself to feel the emotions of it, even if it's not true yet. Right? Mindset is the primary mindset you've got to embrace is growth. That you can grow beyond circumstances. But if you're what I find is if people are not aware of this, then they just let the programming control what they feel, and then they set an intention, but they forget about it because their emotions aren't in alignment with it, or they take a step and they don't succeed, but it's the programming that is controlling the result. You change the thinking, change the programming, you can change the result. And certainly trauma has a lot to do with, has an impact on that, but you're more powerful in your trauma. When you understand
Absolutely
what's going on, you gain dominion over your trauma, over anything that's ever happened.
100%.
You're the creator of your life. So understanding that this is a function that's going on in the body, and truly the subconscious is not just between your ears. Your mind is not just between your ears, it's in every cell of your body.
Yeah.
It's why we get the systemic responses to our thinking and to what happens. So hopefully that gives you a starting point, right? That it's not that you're not capable. It's certainly not that anybody's broken. It's how we're programmed.
Right.
You understand that you can change the program, then life can be different. So if you want to go to the next slide, I'll go through that. Now, again, we're talking about conscious mind, subconscious mind, and body. Now, thinking is a very specific process. And we think, well, God, I think I remember learning how to think when I was in second grade. But
did we really?
I don't remember.
I'm speaking for the public, right? We think we know how to think.
Yeah.
But I'm really thinking.
Well, and this might resonate with our audience. Sometimes I thought my thoughts were me, and I just I didn't realize that I didn't have to accept the thoughts that I thought, and I didn't have to believe everything I thought either.
When we're talking about mental mastery, mindset mastery, it's to realize that thinking is one particular activity. It's got a definition to it. It may show up in a lot of different ways for us individually, but if you're thinking, you're forming images of the good you desire. If you're thinking, you're forming an image, you're thinking about the solution to your life. You're thinking about the body 20 pounds less. You're thinking about that relationship that you want to create with that significant other. How do you want that to be? Because that's your choice. That's your greatest power, is to imagine it the way you want it to be, even if you're not there yet. And getting yourself to believe that it's possible. And awareness, your awareness is what is in control of that. See, the truth is anything is possible. You as a human being are created to create. You're created to create your life. Are you thinking? Are you creating, or are you reacting to your life? Are you a victim, or are you responsible for your life? And those are the choices we've got to navigate and get ourselves on the right side of.
Yeah.
Because you have an imagination, memory, reason, will, perception, and intuition that's your creative mind. That's what you can use to create the successful business you want, right? The relationship you want, the health and well-being that you want. And we're finding research, from Dr. Joe Dispenza and other people, Greg Braden. Research is showing how the mind can impact health and stimulate genes. It's neuroplasticity, and not to make this overly scientific, but you're in control of your life when you take it. So the results that you experience in your life are just a manifestation of what you're thinking or not thinking. And if you're not thinking, which is focused on the problem, focused on you're a victim to your life, focused on what's going on that you don't like, and you're putting your emotions on that shows up in your energy and shows up in what you create.
Which for me, Dr. Ed, was showing up in anxiety and depression and panic attacks. And I realized that it was just I wasn't in alignment with who I was. And that's all it was. I didn't need to pass judgment. I didn't need to be hard on myself. I just needed to realize that my body was communicating with me and started learning the message. And so
judgment is a program.
Yeah.
Right. So,
and even this morning on the mastermind, when I was mentioning to you, Dr. Ed encourages his clients, which I still work with Dr. Ed, to do some mirror work. And so I was doing some mirror work yesterday, and I realized when I was looking in the mirror that I was having a hard time looking at myself in the eye. And so he reminded me this morning that that was actually it was actually great awareness, that I was actually noticing that I wasn't looking myself in the eye. And for a second, I wanted to be hard on myself a little bit and say, well, do I really believe this? But it was, he kind of walked me through that this morning. So I appreciated that.
Well, when you look yourself in the eye, there's no place to run.
Yeah.
True. It forces you to be honest with yourself and to be aware of what's really going on. And
it's very powerful.
It is powerful. Now I put the heart on here because you've got to. It's not the heart in your chest. This is falling in love with your idea, falling in love with something that's going to stretch you and cause you to grow, to change the program. Okay, so I always start with a worthy ideal or a definite chief aim. Well, what do you want? What do you want in your life? And let's direct our mind. Let's think about that. Let's imagine what that's going to feel like.
And Dr. Ed, can I have you just talk to our audience directly for something really quick? Because this was something that I addressed with you when I first started with you, is when you're not used to different environments. I didn't know what to think on at first. I didn't know what a different life looked like or what success looked like. So if somebody's in that space and not used to seeing that type of environment, or geez, I've never seen a healthy relationship, or I've never seen this, like, what would you encourage them? How would you encourage them?
Patience. Make a decision. But see, patience and decision come from understanding.
Yeah.
That's why, I put this up and say, well, I've been talking about this for 9 minutes, 10 minutes. And if it feels like I'm going deep, I'm inviting you to understand this, because when you understand it, it's easier to implement it. It's easier to execute it. Say, I understand what it means to think. And if I'm focused on my problem, I'm not thinking.
Right.
There's no, the solution is the solution. The solution is not the problem. If you get emotionally involved with the problem, that vibration, that energy in your body shows up in every aspect of your life. And I can talk about my story. That's what was happening to me.
Yeah.
Right? My marriage got in deep trouble because all I could think about was the problem. Right now, I had an awareness of some of this. I learned this when I was in college, but I was in a different place in my life, and I wasn't executing it because circumstances were controlling me, and my marriage fell apart. And fortunately, and I'll go ahead and share this with you now. Fortunately, I realized that it was nobody's responsibility but mine. Even though I could have blamed my wife, I could have blamed my job. There's a lot of things I could have pointed at and blamed, but that doesn't work, right? And I was not a victim. I was responsible for it. And I went to work on myself, and I changed me. And when I changed me, the relationship was able to heal. And that's the power of the mind. Now, it requires awareness, it requires discipline, and persistence, patience. It took longer than I thought it should take. Right? It took over 5 years. But I was so committed. If you think about that heart that was on that picture, that was what I wanted. And I had a good reason for it because I knew the impact it would have on my kids if we got divorced. Because I lived through it, and my sister lived through it.
Yeah.
And I focused on what I wanted. And I had like I said, I had a lot of reason to be angry. But fortunately, I was connected to some people and I listened to them. That's the power of the mentor. That's the power of a coach. It wasn't a therapist. Therapy is great, but I didn't need a therapist. I needed someone to help me think.
Yes.
Okay. So
what is that, Dr. Ed? So when you say that, kind of, and this I think for everybody, because what I'm hearing when I'm listening to you talk are a couple of things. One is, why do people blame others? What is the victim mentality? What is really behind it? I think for me personally, I can only talk about my own experience, is that I would blame others because it was too hard to think about all the things that I'd done when I took a deep look at myself and really what I did to cause the issue. So instead of me taking that hard look at myself, I chose to put that on other people so that I didn't have to face it, which is really hard to do. So we're not trying to in these conversations, we want everybody to understand that this doesn't happen overnight. This is a process. This is a journey, and you never end the journey. It's always going. No. But what was the hardest truth you had to face about yourself in that moment, Dr. Ed? Because I think most of us are too afraid to answer that question for ourselves.
Well, that's a great question. Why are people victims to their life? It was your original question.
Yeah.
That's the programming.
Yeah.
It's patterned. It might be patterned for us from the time that we're born. And the reason we speak English, the four of us on this call, is because we grew up around people speaking English.
Yeah.
We can speak victimhood because we may have grown up around people who were modeling that behavior.
Absolutely.
And there was never no responsibility taken for it. Now, why was I blessed? Well, to be able to recognize and take responsibility. It was my environment. I had someone in my life that she's my grandmother. She modeled this for me.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so I was able to say, I'm not a victim here. I can change this.
Yeah. Well, and I want to just speak to our audience, for people out there that don't feel like they have an environment like that, because a lot of the people that I do work with, that is not the case. Me finding a relational recovery group really shifted that for me. And it was around the same time that it was the same year I started working with you, Dr. Ed. So Dr. Ed talks about having a mentor and other people in your community or people in your corner. I had a recovery group. I had a therapist and I had a coach. So sometimes you need all the things to get you through but these were things I went to Dr. Ed about and felt like it was time for me to do certain things in my life. And he was very supportive of that. That's what I was going to say. But for me, what I learned in recovery was that I went there with a lot of blame. And then I realized that, no, it was me. It was my journey. And the reason why I think, Michelle, and this was my experience, and then some of the women that I work with, but it's actually making that amends even to yourself, that for a long time you allowed some of these things to happen in your life, and that is a hard thing to sit with.
It is.
And it's okay when you realize it. When I became aware of why I was getting the results I was getting in my life, when we go back to that loop that we talked about last week, the thought, the feeling, and then the actions turning into the circumstances in our life, I had to realize my part in it and then start working back from that. And Dr. Ed was so helpful in that as well.
It's all about awareness. So we're not victims because we choose to be victims. We're victims because we don't know there's a better way.
Yes.
Well, I remember when you first, taught me about that you didn't have to believe the thoughts in your head. It was just like, it's such a simple thing, but it was like, really, like I was pissed in a way that I'd learned just believing this all my life. And for me, something that, happened recently that's really been helpful to me is I was hanging on to an identity, the identity of estrangement, which wasn't an identity that I chose or had control over. And recently had a 3-day event with Tony Robbins, and I released that shit. That is not my identity. I'm not claiming that is not who I am. And how many of us hang on to identities that were given to us by somebody else? And we start to believe that that's who we are. And it's not. And it's just between CBT, between EMDR, between coaching, between a village of people that I have, right? But I release that shit. And that is not my identity. And we don't have to accept that.
No.
It's being aware and you just rejected this idea you had in your head that
for 3 years. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it doesn't matter how long it takes to wake up. It's
right.
I mean, I talk about it. My mission is to wake people up to what's possible for them. Right. Yeah. And I'm on a mission. I want people to understand why things are the way they are in your life and empower them. And I'm all for other whatever you need to get you through this, to apply your awareness. Whatever helps, it's all good. But it's really important that we all understand that we are in control of our lives when we take control. If we don't take control, then other people are running it, or circumstances outside that we don't think we can control, and we're victims. And the real problem with being a victim, and see if you ladies agree with it, the real problem with being a victim is you have no power.
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
If you're a victim, you can't do anything. Okay?
I remember saying that to myself one day when I was going through my divorce. I remember saying, I just having this epiphany. And I just said, I am giving my power away, holding on to resentment and anger to someone who really doesn't care and really doesn't, it's not mattering to this person that I'm in this much pain and that I needed to get myself out. Nobody else was coming.
But the thing that'll help all of us,
yeah,
is if we realize that we're walking around with other people that are programmed.
Yes.
Yeah. And they're not aware that they're programmed, and they're doing what they do because that's what they do. And we're taking it personally.
Yes.
And then sometimes we go into victimhood, we get anger, and we give away our power, and pretty soon we give up on our goals because of what somebody said.
I have to share something really funny with you guys. I did this recently, and I was my mom, because you guys know I do a lot of healing around my mom, and I can feel myself going into that little girl again. And I could tell by the way I was feeling and the way I was beginning to act. And I looked at my son, and he's looking at me, and I go, there's little Terry again. And he goes, nope, I see you right now. She's not a little girl anymore. You know what I mean? And so, but I had to explain to him that I'm not reacting, or things are not coming up from me right now. It's coming up from someplace else. But the minute I realized that, I was able to look at my mom in a different way and have so much more empathy and compassion for her, realizing that, some of the things I went through were just parts of her that she'd gone through things. I mean, she went through a divorce with my dad, And so here I was now living this same life, and I have experienced kind of the same thing. And so that really has helped me heal that area of my life.
Absolutely. It's all about awareness.
Yeah.
When we become aware, then we get more power. Like we take possession of our faculties. We step into a different level that we don't have when we're, and I call it ignorance. We just don't know.
Yeah.
Right? You don't know that you're showing up as a victim, and that's why you're being treated the way you're being treated. You're ultimately responsible for it. But when you step into your power and stand up for yourself, and that can be hard, that can be challenging. I'm not saying it's easy.
100%. That was the hardest part of recovery.
But you can do it when you have a big enough reason.
100%.
And you surround yourself with people that support you, that believe in you, that are encouraging you. And
that's the key, Dr. Ed. Because if you stay in the toxic environment and you're not around people who support you and who can lift you up, then you kind of stay in that. And I think even Terry, with you're probably seeing environments like that with women you're working with, where they don't have anybody that's saying anything positive or giving any kind of inspiration. Even children that don't have that in their upbringing too. It's like, that's a hard thing to come across, where you have mentors and people are in your life that really support you. And then, the more aware you get, the more you those people just disappear from your life, because you decided we're not gonna be involved in that. But it's like that first part, when you're in that and you're really trying to decide how you're going to move forward. I'm working with a woman in St. Lucia that I met when I was there, and she's kind of in a little bit of a toxic environment where she's at, and she keeps, her and I keep talking, because I give her some work to do it here and there for her to make some money. And she's like, I just want to change. I don't want to do the same old thing. She's quit drinking. She moved out of the environment she was in, and she moved back in with her mom temporarily, just to get out of that toxic environment. And now she's looking at probably going back to London, where she lived for most of her, younger life, because she has more opportunity there. And so she's on this path. And I so remember being in that place where you're just like, I just want to do different. I just want it to be different. I don't want to be in this, kind of thing. And I think that it's inspiring when you see somebody wanting to do that.
Well,
I think that's the place I was at with Dr. Ed before I went to work with him. I was really in a difficult place when we met. And I started working with him in February of 2019, and I didn't know what it was going to look like. But by the end of 2019, in September, we were separated. And so that's how I feel that I was starting to grow and things were starting to happen. And as I just felt like it was a falling away. And that's what all it was. And so now I don't look at it as betrayal and all this kind of stuff. It was simply a falling away. It wasn't in alignment with who I have always been. And that's okay. And that has also helped me with forgiveness.
Yes.
You can't change other people.
No.
Right? But when you change you create space for the people around you to change. And so my wife has changed because I changed. She realized started taking responsibility for some of her stuff too.
Yeah.
Right? You create space for them, but if you're in there like this and you're wrong, no, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. If everybody's wrong, there's no space in there for anything to change.
No. And that takes so much energy.
It doesn't mean they will change. Sometimes they go away.
Yes.
Yes. Go away.
Yeah. And that's okay. You got to be okay with that. And sometimes those people are your family. And I'm saying that to say this. Sometimes the people that are the most difficult to deal with, you're close to, and their family, and it's hard to separate from them.
Yeah.
Okay. But you just don't go there as often. You don't stay as long. Like that's how I looked at it. If I got someone that I have to be around that I don't like being around, because I feel energy.
I do too.
Right, and I'm sure because I've shared with you, and you've worked on it yourself. You've developed that intuition. You've developed that feeling. And you recognize it. Sometimes you don't know what to do with it, but it's like
one of the most powerful things I realize is that I don't have to argue with it either.
Mhm.
Like I don't have to make an excuse about people that have been in my life forever, family members, and I don't have to question why I'm okay. I just have to be with okay that, you know what, this isn't the environment for me.
Right.
And if I and feeling guilty that I think I should say yes because it's my family, and just being okay with, no, I don't have to say yes.
Right.
I don't have to do that for anybody because my peace is more important. And ultimately, I feel like it benefits them as well because the environment stays different if that energy is not there for the both of us, right?
Yeah.
knows
Well,
a complete sentence.
Kimberly, you were trying to say something. I'm sorry. We're not trying to interrupt you.
Well, no. I was just saying, I can't believe how much, since I let go of that identity, I feel like I have so much more room in my heart now. My husband and mine, and Dr. Ed, I'm sure you remember, just him not feeling the emotional connection to me that he really needed, and me feeling like I wasn't able to give that. And now I'm giving it freely. And I feel like I have this room to give it that I didn't even realize was being taken up from this poison, this identity, this negativity. And now I hold his hand without even thinking about it. I'll rub his back. I'll give him that little extra kiss, and I'm happy to do it. And just so much of, I just feel like I was carrying around this boulder on my back that was squishing my heart, squishing everything. And I mean, EMDR was really, really, really powerful for me.
Me
Probably one of the most powerful things I've ever done. And I'm grateful. But I just felt like I was just able to release that. And now I just have all this space and all this love and to share with somebody that's been asking me for it for 13 years.
EMDR was awesome for me too. It really has it changed my life. I, on a brain scan for our audience, if you don't know, when they do EMDR, they can see on a brain scan where stuck trauma, where it is in your mind, in your brain actually moves into the frontal cortex, and you're actually able to process it. And it doesn't feel like this is still happening to me. And so it was so powerful for me. I just I highly recommend it. If you're
we're going to have an episode on that coming up.
Yes,
we do have
an episode.
Yes.
Yep.
I was fortunate enough to have a coach that made available to me EMDR when I was going through what I was going through.
Yeah.
And it helped me as well. So I understand where the value of that, for sure.
And it's hard to, it's an experience. It's hard to explain. It's hard to, you just kind of, you just got to trust the process and just do it.
And it's so subtle too. Yeah. Like you don't even know what's happening. I just remember even asking her, like, when is this gonna, and I'll just say, if any of you guys are interested, there's some amazing practitioners at Cornerstone Christian Counseling that do EMDR. And that's where I got mine. But I had to ask her, how do I know that this is working? And she just reminded me, well, times that you started going into your fight or flight just start to kind of go away. And then I started like recognizing things around me, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not reacting to that anymore. Like,
I'm not thinking about this anymore.
Yeah. It was really powerful and so subtle that it was awesome.
I was going to ask, can you pinpoint, Terry, what was the hardest truth you had to face about yourself when you started to go through this process? Can you answer that?
Yeah, I can. That I was actually an abuser too, and that I actually probably created a lot of pain in my ex-husband's life, and it wasn't just him. It was also me, and I played an equal part, and I contributed to it, but I also had to find love and compassion for myself and say, look at both of our environments and the way that we grew up, and say that neither one of us knew, and we did love each other the best that we could.
Interesting. Kimberly, can you answer that?
About my
The
children.
hardest thing you had to face, the hardest truth you had to face about yourself when you kind of started your personal growth journey, when that kind of came to light. What was the one thing about you that you had to face that was the hardest?
Just my contribution to just the negativity to, I mean, I used to drink a lot too, and that, caused a lot of problems. I've been 4 years sober now, and that's made a huge difference as well. And just probably trying to overcompensate for my lack of confidence, and maybe even at times tried to use money to buy my kids' love or their time, not realizing it, thinking that I was, because I wanted to give them more than I had. So just realizing my own contribution to it.
I think for me, the hardest truth for me was not ever considering anybody else's experience or their thought process or their paradigms, and always just assuming that whatever I thought or whatever I believed to be true was always the highest priority. And that was a game changer for me with Dad when I asked him, and I think I've shared this before, but when I've asked him, when he's like, what do you want from me? And I said, I want you to hurt as bad as I do. And he said, how do you know I don't?
Yeah.
And that for me was like one of those bells going off and you're going ding, 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 ding. Maybe it's not all about everything that I'm thinking all the time. And so I thought that was like the hardest truth, that I'd never considered anybody else's when I was angry and being hurtful to other people because I thought that I was a victim and they all deserved it. I never at all thought about their experience and what they were going through and what their thought process was. Yeah. And whether it be right or wrong, it's not about, them being right or wrong or me being right or wrong. It's really just having a consideration for other humans and what they're going through and their experience, and not trying to assume that they're trying to hurt me.
Right.
That was hard for me.
That was powerful. That was powerful for me. And that was powerful for me when I did the amends process through my 12-step group. And I had to take amends for the things I did to others.
Yeah.
It wasn't blame. I wasn't there to blame anybody. It was, I was truly focused on me and my part.
Yeah.
And how did I contribute to this? And then having to make those amends.
Yes, absolutely. Dr. Ed, do you want to answer that question for yourself? I don't know if you have time to do that.
I absolutely will, but it's when you change the way you look at things, the things you're looking at change. And that's a simple personal growth or personal development idea. And we all could do more of it.
Yes.
But if we can look at things through someone else's eyes, someone we're in relationship with, what do they see? Right?
Well, and Dr. Ed, I shared this last week, how my life and the way that I see the world is different than Michelle's and Kimberly's and yours, because we all have unique experiences. And so I think that's how we can bring more love into the world, is by understanding that simple thing is that everybody has gone through something, not just you. And when we understand that, we can take things less personal. Right. And so that has helped me. And so when I feel myself getting reactive or judgmental, I know that it's a personal problem. And I have to say, okay, how are you looking at this? And in a brief moment, I realized that I've gone internal and I've made it about myself. And once I can get away from that, everything changes.
Yeah.
People do what they do because they're programmed to do it.
Yep.
I was just going to mention, I've been working with Dr. Daniel Amen and learning about the brain. And it's just fascinating, different brain types and how the different types of brains, how those people react, but you can change it, like he says, change your brain, change your life. Very, similar to like what Dr. Ed says, but just understanding when you can recognize like the way that they react, like almost immediately now, it's like they have this type of a brain. And, he talks about really there's no such thing as mental health. It's brain issues. It's problems with the brain.
It's a perception problem. It's how we're perceiving things, and we're seeing the lens of it through our trauma, through our things that we've gone through in our life, through our experiences.
Yeah.
But Kimberly, I think you're talking about neuroplasticity.
I am. And the default mode network and just the whole brain.
You understand your mind. You can use your mind to change the structure of your brain.
Yes.
Right.
It's not the same thing.
Right.
No.
They are not the same thing.
Nope.
No.
And we're programmed with, I talked about the cell's subconscious mind. Well, I'm talking about it generally, but there actually is an areas of your brain that are classified as subconscious, and they are real neurons. They're real clusters, and they respond, they react to stimuli.
I said last week, Dr. Ed, we have a cluster for our mother-in-law. We have a cluster for our kids. We have a cluster for our ex-husband and for that experience that we had, and we have a programmed way of reacting to that. And someone might come into you like your mother-in-law, and all of a sudden you're reacting to something in the past, and this person's looking at you like, oh my gosh, has she lost her marbles? And it comes out of nowhere sometimes.
We have clusters around money. We have clusters around identity, like what we're capable of.
Yes.
Yep.
But we can change them.
Yes, we can.
Your brain, the structure of your brain is plastic. It will respond to your thinking. And when you
then just realizing that our mind.
What's that?
Just realizing that our brain was protecting us, and that it will create stories sometimes to help make sense of things that we may not have been able to make sense of. And so sometimes we're reacting to a story. I remember one time, Dr. Ed, you asked me to tell you about a time, about an experience. I was saying something, I can't even remember what it was. I was saying something about an experience of when I was a child, of what happened, of what I thought happened. And you asked me to recall a time that happened. And I couldn't. And so that was so powerful, how you helped me put that together, that my mind had actually created a story around that experience that I actually believed.
Most of our memories are less than 50% accurate.
Yeah.
Yes.
We have this story that we think it's clear in our mind what happened, but it's not what happened.
It's not what happened.
And we carry it forward, and it's like a bag of rocks on our back, and the story we tell ourselves, it has nothing to do with what we can create from this moment forward.
That's right.
And so I talked about present moment. We've got to live in the present moment. It's now. What do you want to create?
Absolutely.
Who are you going to be now?
Yeah.
Because then our mind, our reticular activating system, goes and looks for that experience, because it wants to create an experience. The brain wants an outcome always. And so it wants to go look for that if we're feeding it empowering things.
Kimberly, were you going to say something?
Well, I was just going to say, in my lesson yesterday, Dr. Amen was talking about how there's like 16 different types of brain, 6 main brain types, and then there's combinations. And how pre-pandemic, 44% of people had a balanced brain. Since the pandemic, that has dropped to 13%.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's some
brain. It's a collective trauma.
There's some big, these are structural changes that you can see, and then in everything.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But I'm on the other side, a little bit on the other side of the fence. It's not a mental health issue.
No.
They're not. People are not broken. It's not dysfunction. It's programming.
It is
trauma.
Right. Yeah.
Adaptability. Yeah.
You understand it, you can do something about it.
And that's what's so empowering, is that we can change.
Mm-hmm.
And that our life does not have to remain the same. And it's so beautiful. I mean, I'm a living example of it.
My son is turning 30 in May, and you guys know, I've talked about my son before, and he struggles to find happiness in his life. He struggles to do anything different than what he does. And then he also told me that we can't talk about his future when we have conversations. He just wants to talk about normal stuff, which he doesn't realize as a mother, that's a normal thing to talk about, but hey, whatever. So I said, well, let's just go on a trip then. I'm going to take you on a trip for your 30th birthday. And so in September, I'm taking him out of the country. He's never been out of the country. And I just thought, you know what I'm going to start doing? I'm just going to start exposing. He's probably listening to this. So don't listen, Antonio. Turn it off so you don't listen to my plan. My plan is to take him out and give him some experiences outside of his normal routine and comfort zone, and hope that inspires him to do things a little bit differently, or think about things a little bit differently than what he has been. Because I think, and not like harp on him about it, but just say, hey, let's go have this great experience, somewhere else and do something different. That's what I'm going to do, because he doesn't want me to have conversations with him about it. He just wants to live. And I'm like, okay, well.
And Michelle, I want to just tell you this. Don't underestimate what he has already seen change in you.
Oh, yeah.
That has spoken to him. And so he's learning so much from you already.
Yeah, that's a good point. Didn't even think about that. Thank you, Terry. Okay, I have one last question for you, Dr. Ed. So what would you say to someone whose life feels like it's falling apart right now? What is like the first step for them?
Well, the reactionary part of it is there's a problem if your life is falling apart, right? That's the obvious meaning that most people apply. I say celebrate it.
Yes.
It's an awareness, right?
Yes.
You're aware that you're out of alignment, and when you become aware, you can do something about it.
And it's falling together.
Exactly.
I love that. That's good. Let's talk about celebrating the small wins. That is something nobody would ever consider celebrating.
Yeah.
Until you think about it from that perspective, you'd never even think about that at all.
Dr. Ed always asks me, what's the problem? I'm like, there is no problem.
You're like, I always hated it when Dr. Ed would like make you, when you be thinking, you think, oh, I've got an answer to a question that's perfect. And then they ask you another question. You're like, dang it, that's not what I was thinking at all. And you can't, like Dr. Ed would like put it back on you. I'm like, oh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Can we talk about your total mind power system, Dr. Ed? Because I know it's not launched yet, and it's going to launch, but after this podcast is already released. But can you just talk a little bit about it? Because I think it's important, and we're going to invite people to it once it's ready.
Absolutely. And I've been coaching people one-on-one for almost 15 years. And that's my habit. That's the way I've always done it. And I have a limited number of people I can impact because there's only so many hours in a day. Right. And I've made a decision that I'm going to take this system to the masses. I'm creating a membership that allows people that will allow me to meet people where they're at and start to introduce them to these principles. And it's called the Total Mind Power Execution System, where I'm teaching a 20-minute process as a place to start. And it involves identifying a definite chief aim, a big goal, but also taking action every morning to do some of the things that you ladies have been through, what I've been through, but to get started from wherever you're at. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited about it. It's taken longer than I would have liked, right? Just like putting my marriage back together, it didn't happen the way I thought it should, but it's so beautiful. Some of the things that I've become aware of for myself is exactly what needed to happen for me to be able to bring this to the marketplace. Mm-hmm. I didn't know how it was going to happen. It's involved going in different directions, and I just encourage everyone. You're on the right track if you have a little bit of uncertainty about how something's going to happen, because the big important things are not going to happen the way you think they're going to happen.
Right.
Right. And that's what I want to wake people up to.
That would be control.
Well, the only thing you're in control of is what? Of your thinking.
It's my actions and what I do.
Right. And we've got to stay in that position. And this is a membership designed to help, to give you an individual resources that they can apply in their life towards something that they really want. Right. And I'm excited about it. And it's happening. It's finally happening now.
Yay.
It didn't happen before because there was a hole in it. And I knew there was a hole in it, and I needed to fill that hole. And I finally figured it out. I'm grateful for that. And I'm grateful for you, Michelle, for inviting, and each of you ladies for inviting me to be on this podcast, because you guys are doing big things. And I'm so grateful. I'm so proud of each of you, but grateful that you're out there impacting, because that's part of my mission, is to help people create a bigger impact.
Yep.
That's why I do what I do.
You've actually helped us, Dr. Ed.
Yep.
You've been such a key reason to why
I've watched each of you, and don't be afraid to work with the coach because of what you're afraid might happen. Terry had no idea she was going to launch a nonprofit when she started, but she found what she was meant to do.
Yeah.
Kimberly and Michelle, I've watched each of you go to a different level than where you were.
Yep.
You're impacting people in huge ways. And that's ultimately, that's what Total Mind Power is about, is empowering human beings to go out and make a difference in other people's lives.
Yes.
And if you ever did a program like Thinking Into Results, where you were training trainers to go out and do your program, I'd be at the top of the list, Dr. Ed, just so you know. I'd be the first one to sign up if you ever had a program like that. Because I think you could have a program similar to what your mentor had, something similar to that, where you could go out and you could train people to teach your program and other things.
I'm number one on the list.
No, I'm number one. I said first.
1A and 1A. Well,
anyway,
that's what's been the hardest thing, is I had to change my identity. I had to realize that I have a unique way of presenting this material.
Yeah.
Right. And it reaches people that me trying to be someone else, which was trying to be my mentor. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Right? I've got to be me.
I want to encourage people to not be afraid, because taking a step into this, just to personal growth, is a scary step. If you're not used to taking a deep dive at yourself, it is a scary step. And there were plenty of times, and I'm sure that Kimberly and Terry can attest to this, where Dr. Ed irritated the heck out of me, because he was making me look and deep dive into things that I was not used to. It was very uncomfortable.
Girl.
The only thing that I felt comfortable with was anger at the time.
I was going to say,
going back, not doing anything.
I think Terry,
Dr. Ed and I
just the most irritated.
Just a couple of weeks ago, I was triggered, and he records our episodes, and I go back and watch it, and he handles it so gracefully, because he can.
It's not comfortable.
No,
but you know what? That's why it's right. Because as soon as
he challenges you, and you're
place,
like, damn.
That's how you know that you're doing the right thing, is to step outside of what's comfortable for you in those old patterns and do something different. That's how you know you're down the right path. So,
and I want to just give him props for that, a shout out, because he holds himself so steady, and he holds such a calm space, non-judgmental space, that when I go into that, and I've done it, I can only count on my hand a couple times that I've done it, 2 specific times that were pretty incredible. I just, even watching it, I was like, oh my goodness. But he handles it so well, and he doesn't get offended. He doesn't react. No. He's just he just does, you can tell he does this work on himself.
Yes, absolutely. That's how we're all thriving. What'd you say, Kimberly?
I would cry a lot.
That's okay.
I still cry once in a while.
There's nothing wrong with crying at all.
When you think about the emotional mind, part of that is it's a letting go process.
Yes.
Right. And our programming is in the subconscious mind. So if I'm invoking an emotional response, I'm on the right track.
Yeah.
Right. And we don't have to understand. That's the thing. You don't have to understand how it's going to happen or even why. Just let it flow through you. And I talk a lot about energy. We didn't get into energy today, but energy is everything. And when you understand it, then you can deal with it. Right. Yes. I understand it's a good thing. I don't take anything personally. If I took it personally, that's not the best version of me.
No.
Right.
You do it so well, though.
Well,
did you see my title, Dr. Ed? Did you see my title?
No, I didn't know that. You changed it?
No, it was there. I came on because this is the best version of me that there ever was, right here, sitting in front of all y'all. This is the best.
Oh, y'all.
All y'all.
I just remind you, and Kim, Michelle, you mentioned it. You want to get your son out of his comfort zone. Everything everyone wants is outside the comfort zone. Just, are you willing to go into that cave? Are you willing to go do the thing you think you can't do? And when you have a coach standing behind you that will hold the platform, or a mastermind that will hold, that's why we do the mastermind, because I want you supporting each other. Mm-hmm. Whatever it is, an accountability partner, get yourself one, because that is required. It's required for you to be persistent, because we may be programmed to quit on our big ideas, and you can't quit.
No.
That's the only time you could fail is if you quit.
Yeah.
You've got to learn from everything you're doing. And it's uncomfortable to learn because we think we got to be perfect. That in itself is a program.
Yeah.
It's progress. Everything is progress. Find that next level you. And Michelle, that best self, it's a good thing when I say that best self, there's another level.
Yes, there is. Because I'm going to be a better self tomorrow. So that's the good news.
My bestest self.
My bestest. Dr. Ed, thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate you so much, and hope everybody that's listening or watching get something from this episode. That is so important to us. We're not just doing this to do it. We're doing it because we actually have a desire to want to help others, all four of us. And so we will put that in the show notes. When his program launches, we're going to put it in the show notes and share it out on social media. But if you have wanted to get in touch with Dr. Ed directly, you can comment or send us a DM. We'll make sure you get in touch with Dr. Ed if you prefer to work with him. Terry also has a trauma recovery course, and I think I put that in the last episode's show notes. But if you ever want to get in touch with any of us for any reason, just comment or send a message, and we'll make sure that happens. Again, thanks so much, you guys. And go out into the world and be your best self. And if you need help and you have a question about where you can go next or what you can do differently, comment or send us a message. We'll direct you in the right way. You know, we're not therapists. I'm not a coach. Kimberly is not a coach. We have lots of resources for these types of things. So please reach out. We're here for you. And thanks so much. And we'll see you next time.
Can I add one thing?
Please.
I just want to encourage people that everyone in your circle, everyone you love, is all looking for your best self.
Yes.
They want the real you. And so I encourage you to grow and become that best version of yourself.
It's the greatest gift you could give someone.
It is.
Yes.
It's better than flowers.
100%.
I'll still take flowers. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. See you next time.